we got something coming up there. I don't know why wasn't coming through the first time. All right, we're gonna try this for the third time tonight. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sonus Underground. This is the live stream that I do whenever I'm trying to make a new track or really just trying to show everyone what I'm working on. We got the producer Kitty here. She's already getting into some mayhem here. So I'm trying to make sure that she doesn't get into some of these bags here. But she's got her own will there. But she's going to be joining us during the track. For the most part, I hope she's asleep next to me in this seat. But if not, you might just see her go along the table here. But we're going to go ahead and switch over to Ableton. And what we are working on for tonight is we're going to work on a wave track. So probably the bulk of this track is really going to be the first 32 bars here. And that's gonna constitute our main idea. Probably just looking at the waveform, we're gonna end up using 8 bars for our main chorus, our main drop. However, we're gonna let the song tell its own story. So I'm not gonna hold it to just 8 bars here. This could end up being 16 bars. This could end up being 32 bars. This is the main idea. It's just going to be about how developed I want it to be right now. The reference track that we have here is courtesy of Pamex. This is Love of Yesterday. And what I want to do is, I don't care so much about the intro for this song here. It's really the arrangement for the drop going into the second verse and build that I really want to emulate. So that's something that's going to be a big focus. How they go about actually transitioning from here. I believe it might actually be there where I highlighted, or it might be over here. There's a point in here where I'm hearing a almost negative space drop. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be a point where there's silence. And actually, you know what? I know exactly where it is. It's over here. And when I play the song through, you'll be able to hear it. It's actually right there. There's a point where in this almost B section, or even C section, it plays out as if it's this second coming of the drop, and it gives you this little section here that's different but unique, and then it does a silence for probably 2 bars here. It's actually about 2 bars there. Maybe even 5 bars. It just extends for a little bit, and then it drops into the second drop. And that's this section here where I have highlighted. It's something that I really want to emulate, just because of the way that Pamex was able to go about their song and create this break and drop the beat back into it. So I have been talking enough about the song and about what we're going to work on that I haven't actually played the original song. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first 32 bars here, and then I'm going to play from 65 onto the end of that. Oh, well, maybe I'll do to 89, to the second drop. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the first section that I highlighted has all the structure of the track, but when I go over to this, really the second half of the track, I want to make sure that I'm putting some markers down for when I start doing the arrangement for some ideas that I like. And definitely one of the big ideas I want to take from this is this silence that's here. But enough of me just talking about the track. Let me actually play it so you can hear it, and you can hear what I'm thinking of. Now, there were some technical difficulties earlier, but I should have them straightened out now. Let's go ahead and give the first 32 bars a listen. Played a little bit more than 30 so you can hear how the refrain from the chorus goes. So now I'm going to play the last 2 bars of the main drop, and I'm going to go ahead and have it come in for the B or C section, and then I'm going to show you that transition, because something like that is what I'm going to want to emulate in this track here. Just give me 1 second. Producer Kitty's going a little crazy. So, go ahead and knock the camera over. Producer Kitty's kind of going a little crazy, so let me just take away some of her distractions, because I can't concentrate when she's trying to eat the leftovers that I have. Look up. Yeah. You'll be chilling here. That's fine. So right now we're in the first hour of production. We are in our blue room, white room hour. And as things get more intense, as we start to go into the drop section, the lighting in the room will change to focus on what we are focusing on. So let's go ahead and play the last 2 bars, or last 3 bars, and then I'm going to go ahead and play this transition here. In fact, I'm going to mark it there. Call that drop 2. So you may or may not have been able to tell when I switched from the first part, the first drop, to the second drop with that transition. With this transition, I'm going to play the first 4 bars before it. The silence really is going to make a difference, because this has a steady drone kick, almost like a Jersey beat, and that silence, and it's only just a bar of space here, not even a bar of space. Realistically, it's 3/4 of a bar. Just that short bit of space changes up the vibe a little bit, gives it more energy, and I really enjoy that. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. goes from this Jersey beat that has a, if it has a hi-hat at all, it has a very low percussive hi-hat, meaning that there's not a lot of energy going on. It's a very simple pattern, um, maybe eighth notes that are going on with that. It's not a whole lot of notes going on. And the vibe of this track, I don't think that I'm going to have it exactly at the same pace. This song we have at, I believe it's 134 BPM. That's what I want to say it is. Actually, it's 138. I'm going to say it's 138. So we're going to go ahead and turn our entire acapella. I can't say it's acapella because that's the track here. We're going to turn our whole reference track to 138 BPM. Let's go ahead and select all of it. Oh, let me do it that there. So let's just do it individually. And if you are in any other DAW than Ableton right now, then what I'm doing is I'm just setting the warp parameters for the sample. I believe this song is exactly at 138 or 134 BPM, and I just want to keep the same speed of the vocal as well as the actual track as I charted out. So right here, we're really going to be focusing on this section here, this drop verse section. It's just 16 bars, but it's going to be the main idea of our track. And the reason why it's going to be the main idea of our track is because it's the main idea of this track. Everything that this track is because of the arrangement that's already been structured, the notes, the scale, and all of that is something that we're gonna tackle as one of the first few things that we do. So let's go ahead and just have this repeat. It's got this airy one bar before then. So we won't worry too much about that. We're really just focused on when the beat actually comes in, because that's going to be where we actually start. So let's see. So let's put the metronome on so you can actually hear the beat that goes with it. Yeah, it's a full beat. What we're gonna do here, there's a little bit of a tail on the last bit of the intro, and you'll be able to see it right here, that dead noise right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that out, and then we're gonna take all of this, and we're gonna go ahead and send that a bar down. Okay, so things should be mostly in line now. And what we're gonna do, I'm not sure what this song, what scale the song is in, so we're gonna go ahead and not copy all of that. We're gonna go ahead and put a unison MIDI wizard. Now, the reason why we're gonna go ahead and put the MIDI wizard on there is because we want to generate a lot of MIDI, and even though we're gonna generate a lot of melodic MIDI, we just want to hear a nice rhythm that we can do. A nice rhythm from the chord structure or the melody line that we can use as the basis of our song. Now, I messed up earlier because I didn't have the actual scale that Love of Yesterday is in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pick a scale. I normally enjoy writing in B minor or F minor, so it's going to be probably one of these two scales. Let's stick with F minor for now. And we're just looking for some longer chords, some full chords, just so we can hear how the chords sound as well as some movement. So one of the favorite things I like to do here is hit classical, and then I hit chords from there. Um, let's go ahead and do 4 bars. I don't want too much variation right now, especially when we're just trying to figure out our main idea. Um, I don't think I'm gonna like this, and the reason why is because there's a lot of sixes, and those are a lot of there's a lot of tension with those notes, and especially with this. This is I saw the sound in my head. I slipped it, but this is a very dissonant, tense sound. So we have the root chord plus tension plus extreme tension is one way to look at it. Um, let's go ahead and go see how this sounds. I don't think it's gonna work, but let's go ahead. Okay. I like that D flat six, and I like this. I like it when it starts with F minor and has a D flat six in there. So I'm gonna think about having that back in there. I'm not too opposed to the actual sound, so we're gonna go ahead and just change the chord structure. Let's go ahead and make that E. It was D flat six. So let's go ahead and make that minor the six. Let's see how this sounds. Not bad, not bad. Let's go ahead and change up the chords once again. Let's go ahead and hit this one. It's too much going on there. Too much, too much, too much, too much. This is like, we have D flat major 7, B sharp or B flat minor 7th, C7 with a flat 9, followed by F major. So this should be somewhat stable. Some tension, maybe actually a lot of tension. The 7th should smooth it over. The flat 9 should make this a really tense major note, and this should be a really nice resounding home. So this could work for a chord progression. Let's see how this works. Okay, I like that. Let's go ahead and drag that just so we have it in the arrangement. And what we're gonna do is duplicate it over to this drop section, and then we're going to take all the strummed notes and we're going to just bring those together. We don't necessarily need the strumming. If I can actually grab onto the note, that would help. Just not that far back. This is, we're working in F minor, so if you're working in Ableton, in the MIDI roll, you have this scale button over here on the side. If you are currently working in Ableton and you have not figured that out, then I'm sorry that the last update failed you, because it should have been very obvious that that was there. And honestly, the scale functionality here is one of the best features of Ableton, because you're able to highlight all the notes in the key that you're working in, and it makes it very, very easy to work with. So like, for example, here we have a lot of notes that are a little blended. There's some slide on there, and so they connect. If I was going to say for this particular chord structure here, you would have a lot of borrowed notes from the previous chord and not borrowed notes from the same scale or a different scale. So they slide. There's a lot of legato going on there. And what we're doing here, I don't want all the legato. I don't want the slide of different pitches. I just want not even the rhythm. I just want the major melodic points from this. What I'm using this for is to also find some of the root notes for the bass line. So here we are. If I go ahead and flip the scale, we've got that's a really tense note. We've got a skip the third. We've got a fifth, a sixth, and then a ninth. With this chord, we have a first, a third, a sixth, and then a ninth. Then we've got there's more. Hold on, I was getting ready to say the wrong chords. So this first one is a D flat major 9, I want to say, or maybe that's not a major 9. Yeah, I want to say it's a D flat major. It's a D flat, or it's really an A flat 6/9 over D flat. If you don't know what that means, neither do I, but I know that this is a very tense chord right there. Similarly, with the next one, we have B flat. I want to say it's really A flat with a over B. I want to say it's an A flat 7 over B, or A flat 6 over. No, not a 6. It's a B flat. It's really like an 11, an A flat minor 7, 11. So we got some complex chords here. That's basically what I'm saying. We got some complex chords here, and this is what those chords sound like. And that this chord progression works well enough for me for this particular song that I'm okay with it. We can let this rock. So let's go ahead, and now that we have this basic chord progression here without strumming, I want to create a bass line with it. So let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and open up Serum. And there's a couple of different ways that you can go about creating this, bass lines or chord progressions. For me, it always starts with creating the chord progression. The chord progression, I don't know why it's asking me to. Oh, that's nice. Ableton decided to crash. Now everything else wants open. What I was saying was that when you work with this particular type of MIDI arrangement, or even if you want to use an audio sample, there's a degree of work that has to be put into it. Let's see. It doesn't look like that's saved. Oh, it did. Okay. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and just lock this down. Let's call this 12.5. Okay, that's saved. Another thing about working with the chord progression first is that whether you decide to work on the bass line afterwards or the melody line, you're gonna have notes and thinking of what the term is for chords before they become chords, intervals. You're gonna have intervals that sound very nice together. This particular chord progression is very tense and is not resolved until the last 4 bars. So there are a bunch of different things that we can do. We could play along with these top notes and create a melody line off of that. That's something that we can do later. Or what we can do is we can take these root notes, these bottom notes here, and create a bass line from that. Usually that's a good way to start from a chord progression, is if you take all the bottom notes, because they'll give you the bass notes. So we're going to take these notes down here, and just use it as a simple bass line. We're going to create a simple bass line out of this, and we may not even keep it, but the goal is to just have something that's moving, something that is workable, even if it's just for 5 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and mute everything that's not a root note, and we're going to go ahead and open Serum back up. Okay, so we got those bass notes in here that sound like this so far. So straight saw wave, nothing too crazy going on. We're going to want to lower the saw wave just so that we can create a deeper bass. Or if we don't use a saw wave, we'll end up using a square wave. I feel like a square wave could work very well with this track. Let's roll off some of the lows there, about 23. Yeah, that's fine then. And then we're going to lower, we'll go into the actual MIDI here. Let's go ahead and drop everything 2 octaves. So now the bass notes that are underneath the chord progression here sound like this. So we got 2 there, so let's go ahead and take that off. Mute that. Alright, that's not a bad pattern. It's not a super memorable pattern, but it's not completely forgettable either. So what we're gonna do is turn the Serum patch into a Reese bass, just so that we have some width, some movement, and a sense of what is actually going to sit in the track. So we can take it, make it 9 voices, probably about 14, 15 to be honest. Yeah. So now the bass that we're working on is going to sound like this. It might sound too high still for some. It's not a sub bass here. If we were going to make it into a sub bass, I should lower everything. There's not really much you can do with that F -1. The B sharp or the B flat -1 you can work with, but this F -1 would have to be raised an octave if it was going to be down there. So we are not going to worry too much about that. Let's go ahead and listen back to our track here. Let's listen to the first 8. Because I want to start working on as well. We have the movement, we have the chord progression, we have the movement of the bass line. And what I want to do to start blending the two together is to start working on the actual drum pattern. Whether or not I'm going to have a bunch of elements in there, whether or not I'm going to keep it really distilled, that's going to affect some of the movement that I have in the bass line here. So I've had a lot of early 90s East Coast rap on my mind. So I'm thinking about some of these like hi-hats or percussive loops. I'm starting to think about how some of those sound and what I could do to not necessarily duplicate, but possibly emulate, pay respect to. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the Unison Drum Monkey. And the reason why we're going to open up the Drum Monkey is because we're trying to do this within a time crunch. We don't want to spend too much time working and tweaking things. So this is going to help us create something, an idea that is startable, decent enough to work on and to work a song around. And that's just what we're going to do here. We're going to take a few elements from the Drum Monkey. When you're in the Drum Monkey, you're able to select a kit from the drum piece or from the drum kit, And I don't want to have it too crazy. I don't even want to have a snare yet. I just want the snare. I want the clap. I want the hi-hats, closed hi-hats. I want the open hi-hats, and I want a shaker. Now, what we're going to end up doing from here is just randomizing all the sounds here, the different samples for the drum kit. And then we're going to put some MIDI sketches down. The only one that I know that I want are going to be the clap and the snare, just because I want where it hits. So I'm completely comfortable locking that in. The drums, the shakers, the open hi-hat, and the closed hi-hat, we're going to work on that right now. Let's go ahead and listen to this, see how the drums are grooving, and see if we need to change the kick first or if we need to change the hi-hats first. I like that. Let's go ahead and repeat that just so we can hear that, because I like the way that those drums hit with this chord progression. Like it there. Okay. It's not bad for right now. Um, let's go ahead and lock in the kick there. I really like that kick there. Probably have to do some editing in terms of the MIDI. For the most part, I like the way it hits. The ending might need to change, but for the most part, I like that. Let's go ahead and change the pattern for the closed hi-hat. I just want to listen to this. It's almost there. I just want to change up this close or this open hi-hat. Let's see. I like that. I'm happy with everything right there, to be honest. I don't want to solo. I just want to lock that in. Okay. The actual sounds of the drums I may not be happy with, but this pattern here I'm cool with. So let's go ahead and just listen to, let's go ahead and copy that over. Okay. Let's go ahead and listen to the intro here. Um, let's go ahead and listen to the intro going into the drop. What I'm curious about is the first 16, but we're going to go ahead and listen to the first 32 because I want to hear any transitions between the first 8 bars here and the last 8 bars of that drop section. I don't think there's anything too drastic going on, and that's part of the reason why I want to listen to it. I think it's a subtle change here between the first 8 and the second 8. Whether there is or there isn't, what we're going to do is try to develop this section first, the first 16 bars there. So let's go ahead and give this first 32 a listen. I'm sorry, I forgot I'd had that muted. Let's go ahead and solo that. I almost want to set this right there, close enough. I'm going to have this, just because I'm working on the drop section now, I'm going to have this lined up as much as I can. It didn't sound like it was lined up. Let's see here. Alright, we're close to it. It's probably the original length there. Although I refuse to believe it. So let's go ahead and just have everything as if we were lined up here. It sounds like it's just vocal ambience, drum, melodic, maybe 2 melodic elements. We have like a melody and a counter melody, or an arp and a counter arp. And then that should be it. It's really just those 4 elements. Okay. So this current chord progression that we have is not going to be the final one in the song. There's going to be some variation in length here, and so we're just focused on the drum. Let's go ahead and open up a drum monkey. The reason why we're going to open up a unison drum monkey is because we're going to, oh, I already have one here, so that'll be a drum monkey. Yeah, that fits there. I don't need to open up a second instance of drum monkey. Sometimes I like to have a drum monkey that is just the kick. I'll have a separate bus for the clap snare, and a separate bus for shakers and hats. Uh, that's going to happen. It's just not going to happen right now. So let's go ahead and take that off. So it's not playing. And then let's go ahead and just build a nice drum progression that fits with our bass line here. We're going to use this in our guide though. Starting to hear a bunch of out of time drums. I'm gonna work on getting that pretty centered with our bass line, our chord progression, our kick here. You know, I wonder if I have, let's see. Check the cipher pack. See if I have anything here. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. Cipher pack, MIDI. The cipher pack is really good for hi-hats. Let's see what they have in pieces. So a cipher pack has all these different MIDI fragments in there, from rolls to melodic rolls to descending and ascending rolls. I don't think I need anything too complex. I think I might need this one. I don't need a whole lot. Looks like I just need to build this out. Take everything from the drum monkey. Let's go ahead and copy this. Go ahead and put these in a bus. Call it drums. Go ahead and get a light orange color there. We're going to call this percussion. We're going to call this one kick snare. So we're going to kick snare. We're going to solo those out. We're going to go to percussion. We're going to solo all of those out. Okay, good. Everything's still playing with the out of time characters. Let's see, that should probably do it there. That's fine. So what we're doing when we're trying to create this drum pattern is really, we should take, I don't want to take all of this, but I want to take just the space. We're going to use this to draw out our kick and snare, really just our ghost notes. I want to know where things hit, and one of the best ways that we can do that is by mapping out actual kick hits. So let's go ahead and copy that down here and delete everything. So what we'll probably do is change this part of the kick and maybe another part. I don't want to hear the respace. If I played this twice through, let's go ahead. Join these tracks. These are the percussive elements that we're deleting. And this one we're deleting the structure of the track with the kick, bass, and all that. These are the hats. So let's go ahead and flip that. Do that every time. Alright, that's muted. So let's look ahead. What I want to do is take that off. And as we're still working on the kick, snare, drum progression, I'm just going to go ahead and edit the actual chord progression to have some melodic elements in here. And we don't want to do anything too crazy. We had it on classical before, so we're going to keep it on hybrid. Put it on standard for now. This doesn't have the actual chord progression locked in, so let's go ahead and that doesn't have that there either. Alright, we had so it's E flat 7, no, E flat 6, let's say it's E flat 6, E minor 6. I know the middle note, or the middle chord. Oh, that's great, fantastic. If we do that, and that, then we're decently okay. If we go D flat minor 6. There's a part of me that's half tempted to just keep going again, because it just deleted everything from the 2 previous instances. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and see what this sounds like. Like nothing. Fantastic. Funny, I went and changed the entire chord progression, so that means that I've got to change the entire bass line. Luckily, that's not too difficult. Mute, 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 mute. I like that. I like that chord progression better than the last one we had. So we're gonna take a quick intermission here. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time thinking about how I want to break that down, that particular chord progression down. Um, but the goal of tonight is to get this drop section done, and once the drop section is done, there's very few other elements that we need to really add here, especially based upon the reference. So we're going to take a quick break for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to work on the idea for this chord progression, as well as some melody lines that might go with it, and from there we'll be able to add a little bit more complexity onto our drums for this initial main idea, and then from there we can start taking that main idea and break it down further into the other sections. All right. So with all that being said, I'm gonna come back here in, let's see where we're at. 10 minutes. It's gonna be 1:18 p.m. or a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 8 a.m. 8:08 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Whichever time zone you're in. I'll see you in 10 minutes.